Now you see them, now you don't. Today, we will be looking at how to remove a person from a photo in Photoshop using content-aware fill. I'm Abby Esparza with Envato Tuts Plus, and I have over 10 years of Photoshop experience. In those 10 years, I've removed a lot of things from a lot of photos, and content-aware fill is one of my all-time favorite ways to do it quickly. All resources featured here today can be found over on Envato Elements, where you can get unlimited downloads of graphics, photos, and fonts, millions of creative digital assets with simple commercial licensing. So, content aware, let's jump right into it. We have a lovely photo here, but let's say we want it to be a landscape photo instead. First things first, let's duplicate our original photo by holding Alt and then dragging up, and then we can grab a selection of our subject. You can use the pen tool if the subject is larger or a bit more complicated, however the lasso tool will do just fine in this case. We don't need to make an exact selection. In fact, we want there to be a bit of padding on the sides here. You can also experiment with adding a feather to your selection, however usually you won't need to, as it'll kinda feather itself out. With our selection ready to go, we can go to Edit, Fill, setting the contents to Content Aware, and keeping the options and blending settings to their default or what you see here. That'll get us a good 70% of the way there, but there are some areas that definitely need some TLC. So let's start our refining. First, I like to mask out the excess content fill, basically bringing back as much of the original photo as I can. Let's add a layer mask and a soft default round brush, and just do some slight masking. You may need to mask more or less depending on how large your original selection was. And you might need to adjust this mask later on in the upcoming steps, so don't worry too much about getting it perfect. Once the masking is all done, we can refine the content aware filled area using the patch tool, set to content aware. Choose an area that is clearly mismatched or overly blurry, and make a general selection around it using the patch tool. Now hold and drag the mouse over a different but similar area of the photo, trying to line up the edges. When you're happy with the new edge, let go of the mouse. If you aren't happy with the fill, then Ctrl Z and try again. I do a lot of Ctrl Z while using content aware fill with the patch tool, so don't get frustrated if you find yourself doing a lot of undoing. Other than finding edges to line up, another tip is to avoid patterns or creating symmetrical details. Repeating patterns are a dead Photoshop giveaway. So if you see a pattern, you can either Ctrl Z and try again, or use the patch tool on the duplicated detail itself, patching a different area of the photo over it, removing the symmetry. You'll want to keep an eye out for things like duplicated bushes, rock patterns, or even something as subtle as grass texture. And like I mentioned, you may want to mask back in some of what you messed out earlier on. It'll be a bit of a back and forth process. And lastly, for the very final refining, I like to merge my two layers together. You can always create one more duplicate of the original if you want to have it for reference. And then we can zoom in nice and close on the newly merged layer and do one more round of the patch tool, keeping an eye out for those pesky blurry areas and repetitive details. I find taking a break and resting your eyes for a bit, and then coming back to the image will help you notice any glitches in the matrix. And really, that's all there is to removing a whole person or object from a photo in Photoshop. Most of the time, it'll end up being 10 minutes of work max. But if that wasn't enough and you're looking to learn even more, why not check out some of the other excellent videos that Envato Tuts Plus has to offer. If you liked this video, consider giving us a like and even subscribing if you haven't already. And don't forget to click the little bell icon to be notified of all new videos, including tips, tricks, and tutorials. Happy designing! See you next time!